Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to go over some more Assassin's Creed Odyssey tips and tricks that helped me get through the game, and I hope will help you as well. The first video that I posted on this was, I think, last week, and it really focused on what to do at the beginning of the game. But today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that will help you throughout the game, as well as get into some details about some armor, items, and different things that I use that really helped me through my playthrough. So the first thing that I'm going to show you guys is how to get a trident that will give you the engraving that allows you to breathe underwater. So if you look at your map between Samos and Chihos, I actually had to go back to my first playthrough of the game because I hadn't gotten it in that playthrough yet, and I wanted to be able to show you guys exactly where to go to get it. So I'm going to show you guys what you have to do to get that weapon. Okay, so we are officially at this nice little island. Once again, that is nestled right between Samos and Chihos. It is a very, very small island. I don't even think there was a dock anywhere near it. Nope, not on it. So you just have to kind of get as close as you can and then swim up to the island. But one of the things that I also want to address while I'm on the move to the objective here is the armor that I'm wearing. There are many, many, many different types of armor in this game, and there are all kinds of benefits to each set of armor. The set that I'm wearing right now is the Immortal set, and this helped me a ton through my first playthrough because I died a lot. This is the Immortal set. This is the set that I was chasing the majority of my first playthrough. You have to go to your cultists and defeat this branch right here, the Worshippers of the Bloodline. Each of them will give you a piece of the armor, and once you have a full set, the benefits for it are absolutely incredible. As you can see, you do 100% of your health restored on death with a 1-minute cooldown. But it also increases your warrior damage. So not only is it really helpful if you tend to desynchronize a lot, but it makes your attacks stronger. So that's absolutely fantastic, and one of the reasons that I used it. The engravings that I have in here probably aren't the best for this armor now that I know a little bit more about the game, but I haven't picked up this playthrough in like 200 hours since I started my other one. But I wanted to show you guys just super quickly what I had as my armor there, and I did find it incredibly helpful. But this chest right here on the island is what we're looking for, because it has a trident in there that will allow us to breathe underwater. So here we go, let's open this up just so you all can see. We've got Poseidon's trident, and as you saw right there, it also popped up with a new engraving that says we can now learn to breathe underwater. So if you click on this right here, you can breathe underwater, but now you can also equip this to other weapons. Let's say tridents and spears aren't your type of weapon, not your favorite thing to use. It would be an amazing thing to have when you're searching for different things underwater or just doing a lot of swimming, because it's easier to swim underwater and faster if you don't have to deal with the waves above the water. So you can put it on a bunch of different weapons if the trident's not for you, but it is incredibly helpful, and it helped me a ton during my playthrough, especially on certain parts when I had to go very deep in the water to find cultist glues. Now this is a set that helped me tremendously through my second playthrough. I was really struggling to defeat Medusa on my second playthrough. I'm not sure why, because I seemed to beat her without too much difficulty on my first playthrough using more of a hunter style build. I kind of stayed back and just shot lots of explosion arrows, which is incredibly helpful because she does tend to disappear if you don't have her poisoned or burned. She does that little thing where she can just like phase in and out of existence, which really sucks. But when she would hit incredibly hard, and my wife noticed this. She said, what armor are you using? What's going on? And I don't remember what I was using at the time. I think the Agamemnon set is what I had. But she recommended that I use the Greek hero set because it adds 30% to all your resistances. And if you're past level 50, you can go into your skill mastery tree and up your resistances even more. So with my skill mastery tree at that time was leaning more towards a warrior build, really trying to strengthen my defense and strengthen my resistances, while at the same time still strengthening my warrior attack. I used this armor and would go in with my overpower attacks, which I used an engraving on my bow to make it so my overpower attacks would cost 1 less adrenaline bar, which is also super, super helpful. And that seemed to work super well with defeating her, and I took very little damage from the ground explosion attacks that Medusa will deal after she shoots you with her laser beam eyes. It's not much help if you get turned to stone by the little laser beam thing, but it does reduce the damage you take, and you can kind of start to ignore it after a while. But going up and just trying to smash her with overpower attacks while using this armor was what worked best for me, and I hope that it works for you guys as well. Now I know this is something that I mentioned to you guys in my first tips and tricks video, but I want to drive the point home. When you need materials to upgrade your gear or your ship or anything, buying them from the blacksmith is an incredibly effective way to get the resources that you need. Drachmae tends to be a very readily available resource in this game, especially because you have the ability to defeat mercenaries, get all of this cool gear that you can sell. So resources are really what tends to be kind of scarce. So in addition to making sure that you're purchasing resources whenever you can from the blacksmith, make sure that you're also selling the gear that you don't need. Make sure you're not paying off your bounties. When you fight mercenaries, they tend to have a lot more drachmae on them than other enemies, and the gear that they drop is always super good. So if you've got somebody who's maybe above you in a mercenary tier that's hunting you or coming for you, and you defeat them and you get a purple set of gear or even a blue set of gear, sometimes that can be like 3,000 drachmae worth of stuff, which can buy a lot of resources that are otherwise a lot harder to find. Another thing that I found incredibly helpful in obtaining a very specific resource called orichalcum is the message board. Check the message board in every city you go to. What I would do is I would literally just click every single one, because a lot of these are contracts. And the thing with the contracts is kind of like a passive quest. If you go into your quests up here and look at your contracts, they're not incredibly difficult. If you see, this one just says destroy Athenian pentaconters, which is a type of ship. You don't have to necessarily go anywhere specific. You can just continue with your Odyssey, do whatever. We'll end up completing these contracts and getting the rewards for them passively. But there's usually at least one or two of the orichalcum quests on the message boards. Some of the time you get an easy one, like kill the mercenary. Other times you do have contracts that take a little bit longer to fulfill. Like this one is one that tends to come up a lot for me, and it takes a while if you're just out searching, but you always tend to find ships that you need when you're not looking for them. But the reason that the orichalcum is so important is because you can go here to this nice man who will sell you things for orichalcum. You can also find orichalcum in strange places throughout the world map. If you go to any of your synchronization points that are high up on cliffs, or maybe very out of the way, or maybe when you do your synchronization dive off, you dive into water, you can find them there. But this will allow you to buy special gear that otherwise you would have to pay helix points for. And if you don't know, helix points cost money. Dawn set you cannot get unless you purchase it with helix points. Helix points cost money. So if you want to buy a set, usually it's around $10 to $20 for that. Otherwise, you can just kind of go about your business, collect orichalcum, and come back to see this nice man in Phokis, and you can get it that way. Using orichalcum at this little shop here is also the fastest way to get the legendary figureheads for your ship. I think the first one I got was from here, even though I'm pretty consistent with trying to make sure I do all the underwater territories, all the underwater tasks, to make sure that I get all the loot and finish out areas as thoroughly as possible. The first legendary figurehead that I was able to get was from here. Just to give you an example of a place that you could find orichalcum, this is one place that I know I found it before, but I'm not entirely sure if it will have repopulated. At the Taietos Overlook synchronization point, you are up very high on this nice stick. If you jump down and dive into the water, you should be able to use the animus underwater. If you don't immediately see it, there should be some here. Some I have noticed will repopulate later on, or respawn rather, but it doesn't seem like this one has. I may have gotten it pretty close to when I was finishing up this playthrough, but that is one of the many places that you can find orichalcum in this game. Alright, now towards the end of the game, you run into a lot more battles that require you being in water. There are quite a few cultists that are on ships. There are also quite a few conquest battles that are naval battles. And if you're like me and don't like the naval battles, the best thing to do is beef up your ship as much as possible. But not only with the improvements that will let you make through the menu, but also through getting better lieutenants. Ikaros has an ability to see what rank a lieutenant will be if you try to recruit them. So if you can zero in on somebody in a fort or just any random enemy you like, you can see this guy here is just a hoplite. He's not going to have much rank. He just has the little black background. What you're looking for is a gold background. And the easiest way to be able to recruit somebody after you have entered an area is to pretty much flush out the entire area, maybe hit the person with a paralyzing arrow, or Spartan kick them when they have very, very little health left, and they will just kind of stay paralyzed on the ground. But like this guy, you can see he has a purple background, So he's pretty good, but he's still not legendary, and I try to stick with having all legendary lieutenants on my ship. So if you were wanting to get a lieutenant from this fort, it would be probably this guy or any other gold that you have. And they tend to give better benefits to your ship, which is always super helpful in naval battles. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it. I hope that these tips were helpful for you guys, and if you use any of them, make sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section below so I can know. And if there's any other helpful tips and tricks that you think I should add, let me know down in the comments, or you can send me a message on Instagram. You can find all of my social media links down in the description below. I hope you guys have a safe and wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.